Hi everyone, happy Super Bowl Sunday. I've heard it's Super Bowl Sunday. I wouldn't know because I could care less. But if you're having a fabulous time at a party or with friends or watching the game or at the game or whatever, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Today is my joy is that I'm celebrating 22 years. It's my cat. Since being with my now husband. We had our first date 22 years ago. 22 years ago. You can read about it. I put it on our blog today called I Fell in Love on Super Bowl Sunday. So if you want to go see how we met and why I'm still in love with this guy, go check it out. But I wanted to also let you know that I just received I have a dozen copies of this book, Hope in the Dark. I've been talking about this book since I started reading it just a few weeks ago. And it is just one of the best things I've read right now. I like the light when I do that. It changes completely when I do that. I love it. So it's called Hope in the Dark, Untold Possibilities. Untold Histories, Wild Possibilities. And it's by Rebecca Solnit. And she's just such a brilliant wordsmith, mind, remarkable. She's really fantastic, really beautiful writer. And I like highlighted the entire book. Like the entire book was highlighted. And so I really want to give this to everyone. I know you can see it's pretty thin. It's a very quick read, but you will read it with such care and just really consume it, I think, with real appreciation as I did. I can share a couple, and I've been an activist for many, many years, and I think every animal activist should read this book. For so many reasons, and I think certainly anyone who's involved politically should read this book. Anyone who wants to contribute to the good of this world should read this book. There's so many reasons to read this book, whoever you are, whatever you care about, certainly from an activist perspective, but also from a perspective of, even if you don't call yourself an activist, we are all engaged in this world and we all care about things in this world, and there's a lot of work to do. So if you don't want to call yourself an activist in the strict sense of the word, I don't care what you call yourself. But get this book. I read it on Kindle. I'm reading pretty much most of my books these days on my on one device or another. But I bought hard copies because I want to give them away to people. So yeah, so we've got like a bunch of copies to give away. I've got so many quotes. So many parts that I highlighted. It was so incredible. And yeah, I can share some with you. So I hope you're all doing well. We just ordered a pizza from Lane Splitter, and we're going to eat it as soon as I'm off of this broadcast. But I just wanted to connect with you. Most of you are probably watching the Super Bowl. Again, Hope in the Dark. It's what the title of this broadcast is, and it's the title of the book. Hope in the Dark. Hope in the Dark, Untold Histories, Wild Possibilities. I really think you're going to get a lot out of it, and just it will be one of these books that just remains a resource for you. It has for me. Yeah, thanks for typing it, Keegan, because it's helpful for people to be able to see it when they just come. Everyone's welcome to just type the name of the book in the comments section, because I think then people will very quickly see, by Rebecca Solnit, Solnit, Rebecca Solnit. And she's written many, many books. This one was written after the Bush administration and the Iraq War and the fear that many people were feeling at the time. And so it's really, it's had a resurgence because of what's happening right now in our country, in the United States. And I got so much out of it. And I've said this before. That's wonderful, Daniel. I've said this before, but I will just quote her again, or at least summarize what my biggest takeaway was, and it was that idea. I mean, it's so brilliant and it's so simple, and it's just a reframing. I love reframing, as you know. I love framing things in a particular way, but I love reframing, and she reframes darkness and uses this quote from Virginia Woolf, who talked about darkness not being kind of this inevitable evil. When we see darkness, when we think of the darkness of the future, the darkness of what we can't see, it feels negative, it feels overwhelming, it feels sad, it feels heavy, it feels like it's inevitably bad. And her point is, her being inspired by this quote from Virginia Woolf, is that the darkness isn't inevitably evil. It's dark because we can't see. And in that inscrutability, there are possibilities. In that darkness, in the inscrutability, in the unknowingness, there are just endless possibilities, and we're the ones who can write that future. So the future isn't dark because it's inevitably bad. It's dark because it hasn't been written yet. I love that so much. That really resonated with me. I don't know if it resonates with you, but it really, really resonated with me. And I think that's just a way to really reframe what looks dark. Is we have to write it. We have to be the authors of the future, whatever it is we care about. And there are so many things we care about, and they're also interconnected, that we can write the future. And the hope is what gives us basically gives us the stamina to get up and just do it. And then the action is required to actually make it happen. But so the hope needs to be there as well, and certainly not cynicism, and certainly not hopelessness. And it's not about having a Pollyanna attitude about it either. It's about being really clear about where we've been, and that there's possibility to do more, and in that possibility is where our action then lies. And I love it. I just absolutely love it. I'm a very optimistic person as it is. I'm a very hopeful person as it is. And yet I feel sometimes scared and fearful and sad and even despair. I have felt despair. I don't know if I felt despair completely. I'm sorry. Could you just let me have some time, please? He always wants to be where I am. You're welcome, Derek. Yeah, so one of the things I love too is that she's really holding activists to task as well. And one of the things she talks about is that there are people who won't even celebrate, any victory because it's not perfect. And of course, Rebecca's not original in talking about, perfection is the enemy of the good. And so there's just a lot, I think, even animal advocates can get out of this, because we see a lot of cynicism in the animal movement. We see a lot of cynicism around veganism. We see a lot of cynicism around just anything that in any way smacks of some kind of victory, because we're afraid that if we're not screaming and shouting and angry all the time, that it means that we don't care. And of course, that's not the truth. And it's just not the way to go about it. So, so she's really holding all of the spaces of fear and hope and action and and victory and determination and celebration all at once, I think, is just so important. That was Charlie. Sorry. Of course, Charlie still it. Hey, Cherie, sorry, we were going to come by, but we got really wet when we went for our hike. It was really muddy out there in Briones, but it was a really fantastic hike, and our boots were soaked through. So we just got some pizza delivered, and we'll have to come by another time. But love you, miss you. So again, hope in the dark is what I'm recommending. See if there's a quote that I can find. You guys can see that? Let's see. I just want to read every one of these quotes. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, she's got so much. Oh, she's got so many good things. So many good things. Oh, this is really lovely. Here's kind of a way to phrase kind of what I was just talking about. She's quoting a woman that she had met traveling around. This is a woman who survived the Khmer Rouge. And she says, if I had not hoped, says this woman, if I had not hoped, I would not have struggled. And if I had not struggled, I would not have survived Pol Pot. I mean, this is a woman who, how many millions of people were killed during that regime, and that's what it boils down to. If I had not hoped, I wouldn't have struggled, and if I hadn't struggled, I wouldn't have survived. So it's in that possibility that I might live. It's in the possibility that good will come of the actions we take. It's in that possibility, just that glimmer of possibility, that we struggle against what we know isn't right. We struggle against what's wrong, and And that's where the victory lies. So it starts with that hope, though, and that's not naive, and it's not Pollyanna. It is just that glimmer of, there's enough there to believe that there's something on the other side. Oh my gosh, Allie, you're just all over. That's amazing. MJ says, hi, Kath and Heather. Let's roll. Tomorrow I'm calling about the bill introduced in the House to eliminate the EPA, and I'm calling about the removal of the animal welfare page. Excellent. Every single day. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you, Jerry. Every single day we need to act. We need to call. This book will motivate you. There's so much to do. The things that we're talking about do not take long, but they have an impact, and it's the right way to go about it. Contacting our senators, contacting our representatives, contacting the government, getting our voices heard, writing letters to the editors, showing up on the streets, buying books like this, sharing them with other people, being open to conversation, being focused on what the aim is all the time, being focused on the goal, being focused on the prize, keeping our eye on the prize and not getting distracted by other things. There are so many things to get distracted by right now. I won't name any of the things that I think some people have gotten distracted by, but there's so much to do and it doesn't take that much time. So that's fantastic. Everybody, I just ordered postcards. I didn't, I usually make phone calls, but I'm going to be sending postcards out, and I just ordered postcards and stamps, postcard stamps. So I'm excited to just get some postcards out there. Let me see if there's anything else I can share with you to give you any more hope, and then I'm going to go eat pizza. If you have any questions, throw them here and I will look at them, but let me see if there's something I can share with you. This is interesting. This is interesting. This is interesting because I'm gonna share this with you because I think this is helpful for all of us. As vegans, we can get complacent and think that not everybody, and I'm not saying we're all like this, I'm not saying it's all the time. It's not like we have to, resist every second. We can relax and feel good about what we are doing as vegans. But just listen to this paragraph and see if this resonates with you. Many people believe, because she's not saying that these things aren't important, she's just saying it's not enough. So many people believe that personal virtue is what matters in this crisis. It's a good thing, but it's not the key thing. It's great to bicycle rather than drive, eat plants instead of animals, put solar panels on your roof, but it can give you a false sense you're not part of the problem. You are not just what you personally do or do not consume, but part of a greater problem if you are a citizen of a country that is a major carbon emitter, as is nearly everyone in the English-speaking nations and the global north. You are part of the system, and we all need to change that system. Nothing less than systemic change will save us. And I love that because we can feel good, and it does feel so good to know that I'm not contributing to the larger problem, but there's a lot to do to change the problem, right? Me being vegan isn't solving the climate crisis. Me being vegan isn't solving the violence against animals, but in that space of clarity, being vegan certainly contributes to that goodness. And I say goodness, it is, I think it is the right thing to do, to not eat animals and their secretions and contribute to violence against them. I think that is the right thing to do. But that's not all, and that's not enough. And it's just that. I just really love her honesty, and her writing is just incredible. And this is a book you can read to your children, you can share with anybody and everyone. So, and as Donna's saying, have conversations with friends who don't agree. Don't be afraid of the, I've said this before in relation to animal advocacy and veganism. We can't be afraid of someone who sees things differently than we do, because if we don't let opposing views come into the light, we'll never understand how to respond to them. So we need to hear what might be uncomfortable. That doesn't mean don't be afraid of it. What are we afraid of? Your convictions aren't going to fade or dwindle because you hear someone else's that might be opposite of yours. And if we are afraid of that, then we need to consider how strong our convictions are, or maybe there's things that we need to question. I don't know. But we can hold that space of openness, and it also, like I said, it clarifies, I think, our position even more. So listen, hear, be open, have an open heart and an open mind. I will say this. I will say that for since the beginning of time, I'm going to say there have been people in power who one of the ways they stay in power and wield their power is by pitting people against one another. It is an age-old strategy, and that's what's happening right now. It's what's happening right now in our government is people are being pitted against one another. And don't say but, it's those people too. I don't want to hear it. We're being pitted against one another. So what we need to do, and I've said this when I've talked about disagreement in animal advocacy and veganism, is instead of standing opposed to one another, we need to stand together against the things that we all agree are wrong. We might find that they all agree that unemployment is wrong, that poverty is wrong, that cruelty is wrong, that injustice is wrong. There are things that we all have common ground on. And that's what we need to stand against. So what we need to do is certainly resist any kind of tyranny that we might be witnessing or bullying or what have you. Resist it, absolutely. But we also need to resist being pulled apart. We need to resist being pulled apart, and we need to come together. So think about for yourself, I'm thinking about it for myself, what it looks like exactly, Christine. Age-old, divide and conquer. It is like as old as civilization. So think about what that looks like. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for us to resist what what is a dangerous administration and thought pattern and language and rhetoric. Okay, I have 2 cats on me right now. No fighting. There's enough of me to go around. So we need to resist that, and there are all those ways we can resist that. But we also need to resist being separated. And that's what I think. So we also need to resist hunger, and I'm going to resist hunger right now by going and eating some pizza. Hello, Giuseppe. Daniel says, I was uncomfortable with veganism until I listened to an opposite opinion and learned more. Growing as a person occurs with listening. I love it. Absolutely, Daniel. Love it. Oh, Emma, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Thank you. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Suzanne. That's a pretty low bar, though. That's a pretty low bar. Fear is dangerous. Protect yourself and be happy. Indeed, Christine. And hello, Ali from Ireland. So I hope that helps. I hope that's just some inspiration for your Sunday. And hope in the dark. There is hope in the dark because we've got a future to write. And let's go write it, everybody. I'm going to go have some pizza, okay? All right. Have a wonderful Sunday.